Welcome to Tennessee Buck Outdoors. Today we're talking about interviews. By the way, that's Scout, Scout, got it. He's also known as the supervisor. A lot of people ask me why I didn't bring the supervisor up to the Nationals. Well, he loves to ride long trips. We really haven't done that yet. So, anyway, what are you doing, boys? So, like I said, interview. The first one is going to be with Bill Hall. And he's going to be talking about his wife, Becky's A100 1957. So, let's get to that.
I'm Bill Hall. I've got a 1957 A100 anniversary edition, not the golden anniversary edition, but that's about it.
Okay, now tell us how you come to build it.
Well, I ended up buying it partially built from a guy and his wife in Michigan, John and Jennifer, and they had gotten it from, John was in a band. The gentleman that owned it before that was Greg Robinson. He is now the owner of Gene's Truck Sales in Coleman, Michigan. And his father had the truck as an anniversary present for his 50th anniversary of being in business.
Okay. Now, what all did you do to it? Did you add anything special to it, or?
I completely rewired it. Had to put brakes on it, get the brakes working. Steering column and steering gearbox needed to be rebuilt. I've added a few little things here and there. I'm working on the upholstery now. Had new tire cover, new door panels. We've got the seat and the headliner to be finished, and sun visors.
So how'd you come up with the color?
I'm sort of weird for blue.
All right.
I had a 1960 that was a showpiece, and we needed something to drive. We got caught in a hailstorm last year coming home from a cruise in the 60s, or 2 years ago. And in that coming home, we decided we were going to buy a driver to drive. So that's when we got her 1957 A100.
Have you done anything to the underneath the rear or anything like that? Added anything, or? And how'd you come up with the wheels?
Wheels were on it when I bought it. They got Krager wheels on it, and everybody told me, "Oh, you ought to put International Harvester wheels back on it." But the more I looked at it, the more I thought it just looked good. I will leave it that way.
Well, I know one fact is the blue shifter knob.
Yeah, that came from Amazon. The shifter knob that was on it was sort of just old black knob, and I thought I gotta have something sparkly with it because I'm that kind of guy sometimes. So.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add about that one or your other one?
On that one, bought it for her. She hasn't driven it very much yet. She's learning to drive in her front yard because she don't learn how to shift a 4-speed. And it was originally a 3-on-3. What? No power steering? Oh. Yeah, it doesn't have power steering. It's got Armstrong steering. And we were going to a cruise in right after we got it, and going around a curve, the steering wheel just kept turning and it went straight. So I had to, the steering column itself broke in half inside. So needless to say, I had to wrecker it back on that time.
Okay. Is there any other thing that you're going to be doing to it?
going to finish the interior off on it, and I've got to get a fan shroud for it. It's got an electric fan on it, which doesn't cool it what it needs to be cooled. And eventually I'll probably make it a little bit more of a showpiece.
Welcome back. At our next interview, well, let's put it this way. Parental discretion is advised. Yeah. And when I started to talk to the brothers, it was like, okay, let's start talking about, no, we can't talk about that. But we can talk about this. No, we can't talk about that. But seriously, watch the interview. Alan and Ray Holmes. If you look up underneath the encyclopedia for brotherly love, respect, best friends, their pictures will be there. Because those two, I tell you what, it's amazing the bond that they've got. So, the Holmes brothers, be prepared.
Here we go, we're live at the Nationals 2024. The Holmes brothers are present and accounted.
I'm Alan Holmes, and I'm from Sebring, Florida. I spent 35 years of my life in Augusta, Illinois, and I've spent the second 35 years of my life in Sebring, Florida, where I retired from Edward Jones.
And my name is Ray Holmes, and I live in Augusta, Illinois, and that's the hometown we grew up in. And our dad was a IH dealer. He started in 1950, and he went to 2004, so he had a 54-year run. And it was a good business for him, and we did well in that little town, and we enjoyed it. And so as it goes, Alan went down a different line. He went into investments, and I went to work for International Harvester right out of college, and that had great experience with that. I actually worked in the credit department, and then also worked in the sales department in the ag side. And then my dad said, I could kind of use a little bit of help, and so I came home and started helping him. And my dad, he was always crazy about old equipment, but it's this period correct stuff that he lived through. So he bought a 1929 International truck to start with, and we probably had that thing 55 years, and we keep it in his memory. And then we had some 1020 International tractors and some regulars, And a lot of that stuff, F-20s, F-12s, we had a bunch of those old ones. And we'd take them into parades. Our dad, he'd want to go to these parades and stuff, and we had a great time. So as we go longer in life and stuff, we always had car projects and everything like that. We finally got focused down one line that we always grew up with, and that was the IH line. And we had always had some trucks and stuff like that. But Alan and I both got started on the Scouts, and next thing you know, he'll tell you how many he's got, and I'll tell you I've got 4 Scouts, and I've got a Terra, and I got 4 pickup trucks. And what do you got?
3. Well, thanks to my brother, and I owe my passion that's been shortcoming in Scouts, because 3 years ago I didn't own a Scout, and now I have 4. So maybe that's about the right formula. And my wife, she just says, "Is there some kind of a vaccination I can give you to hold off on this?" But she did compliment me before I left this time, and she said, "Alan, I'm really proud of you. You've got your sports star looking really, really good." And she said, I think it's going to do well for you. And so I know you're proud of it. But tell them about the very first Scout you got. Go back to the very beginning of how you got a Scout and what you did when you started with the company.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty
cool.
cool.
When I worked for the company, it was really neat. I started in '79, and they were building Scouts still, and so I got to drive a brand new Scout. They sent me to the truck branch in Indianapolis, and I picked up a brand new Scout. It was beautiful, I'm telling you what. It had chrome wheels, it was dark brown, and had black stripes on it. I've never seen one like it again. And I drove it for 10,000 miles. They said, "Oh, time to roll you out of that into another one." So I got another one, and it was kind of blue, and it wasn't quite as pretty, but it was brand new and everything like that. And then they quit the Scouts, and I got a Plymouth Reliant K car. It had a 4-cylinder motor with a CB, and we thought we were cool, and we were all us company guys were chasing each other. We had CBs and stuff, but they were not a Scout, But that was, we're just going to tell you about the best units that we've got. I've got a Snowstar that's kind of hasn't been fixed up yet. That's kind of in the back side here. I've got a 57 Golden Anniversary that I've got all in primer. Then a bunch of these Scouts came along. And so in the Scouts, I've got, my best Scout is called an Outlaw. And it was built in 1974. It was kind of built for the Northwest region, truck region. Ford and Chevy was painting flames on trucks, so the International thought they'd try that. So I have number 14 out of 14 built in a group, and they don't really know how many of those were built, but we know 14 of them were built. But it was a base black, it had flames painted on the side by a guy named Jack Ruckman, and he signed it on the front side light. He's got his name on there. And his nickname was the Beard. And it really, I've spent a lot of time on it. The guy before me had started a restoration. I finished it off. 50-year-old machine. This winter I put new seats in it. I put new carpet in it. I put the luggage rack on the back, which is period correct. Everything I did on it is done according to the line set ticket. It's an original. I've tried to keep it totally original. It's got a new exhaust too and everything. It's in great shape, and it shines. It shines. But you tell him about what you're.
I'll take credit for it. I'll take credit for his Outlaw. I've donated his rear tire spare carrier, and I feel pretty good about that. As the older brother, helping my younger brother out here a little bit with his endeavor of Scouts. But I gotta say, my brother here, he is passionate about Scouts, and he has a favorite term. He says, I said, "What have you been doing?" He said, "Well, I'm doinking around a little bit." I said, "Well, what are you doing?" He said, "I'm doinking around on my Scout, So he's always puttering around on it and stuff. And kind of, I think when he's working on a Scout, it's his happy place. And I got to say, I think our father would be pretty proud of us if he could see what we're doing with Scouts and carrying on. He'd love to be riding in one of them or taking a drive with them, but that's not going to happen. He's in heaven. But I got to tell you about his Snowstar. We brought his Snowstar 2 years ago to the Nationals that were held in conjunction with the Red Power Day in Springfield at the fairgrounds here in Ohio. And He said it's in rough condition. He had to put plyboard in the floorboards so we didn't fall through. He said, "Come on, we'll fire that up and drive it around a little bit." And we sort of did, but just that was basically to put it on the trailer and take it off.
Well,
That's
a lot of
about
people
all.
have never seen a Scout like the Snow Star, and I told Jim Allen. I saw him. He says, I said, "I got the Rust Star over there." And he says, "Rust Star, Rust Star, Snow Star, Rust Star." Okay, yeah, and it's rusty. It's that bad. But you stand back from it. It's 20-footer. It's great. You get up and like, ooh. But so it's a project coming. It's coming.
Well, anyway, the Scouts I've done is I don't want to work on. I kind of decided at 70 years old I'm not gonna mess with just any Scout, and so I've been a little bit particular. And for me to get started, the first Scout I bought, the first 2 Scouts I've owned, one of them is a 1980 CVI Sports Star that was already in paint and had the decals on it and was fairly much correct. And I've had to take it from there with some interior work carpet. I found out some things at this show, some things I need to do under the hood. And then at the same time, I bought a CVI Classic Sounds. So that's been pretty cool. So there's my first 2 Scouts. Plus I've got a 77 that I'm going to refer to as my beater Scout that I can go run around with. And I recently purchased a 1979 TerraStar that is supposedly on the Good Times tag has 003. So that's going to be kind of neat. It's been pretty cool, and it's been a fun ride with this thing. My biggest thing is just to not have a whole lot of stuff to have to monkey around with and do. Other than that, I just want to be able to go ahead and have my work be done there and hang out with it and everything. But this has been a great show to come here and everything. I've enjoyed it.
We enjoyed it. We plan on it every year coming.
Okay, I got a good question for you. Growing up, who fought to get shotgun? Who fought to drive? When you guys went to get, it's just one vehicle, you 2 are going. Who drove? Who got shotgun?
Oh, you think the older brother usually got to do that, and that's him.
I don't think we ever had a problem who drove and who rode. But I will tell you, our first car was an ex-Illinois State Police car with a really hot motor in it, 160 mile an hour certified speedometer. So we were in high school and had an old cop car. It was a 4-door, but I mean, it's kind of crazy. It was geared high, but man, oh man, could it drive? Would it go? It was
Drink gas and feel rubber.
Yeah, you could.
Not just what a kid needs, really. But,
other guys had Camaros and stuff like that. We're driving an old cop car, but we could keep right up with it. It was no problem. And we did it in comfort too.
Our dad didn't sell Scouts. He didn't think people would buy those things. We're out in a rural community, a 700 town. And he sold the pickup trucks and he sold the grain trucks, and he'd sell the 4-wheel drive pickup trucks and the half-ton pickup trucks, 2-wheel drive, and everything like that. And that was a great business. He did. We had one Scout, and that was a Scout that he won in a contest, and it was about a '62 Scout with this copper colored. I remember it was just beautiful. And I said, "Dad, we're going to keep that thing and drive that around." And he said, "No." He said, "Those last few deals, we did win this contest. We got kind of close on them. So we got to take this thing. We got money in it. We got to turn it." But he would come through all kinds of classic cars and everything. He'd take them in on trade. In 1950, he told me, he said, we took in horses on trade, and that's hard to believe. I said, "What did you do with a horse?" He said, "Oh, there was buyers, but they were selling in '50. That was if you could get equipment, you could sell it. If you get it, but you couldn't get it. You sold it for less, And I have great memories. We both worked in the dealership and growing up and pushing a broom, mowing the yards, doing all kinds of stuff. And it was great memories.
So, kind of makes me think too. I have to catch up to my brother here. My younger brother, I have to catch up with him because he's a little bit ahead of me in knowledge, and he does a lot of his own work. He's very, very talented. But because of these having 2 CVI units, I thought, wow, I'm reading the book by Jim Allen and John Clancy, the Scout Encyclopedia, and I read about this guy named Dick Nesbitt, who was the graphic artist and designer for the CBI, and he was also lived in Arlington, Texas, which he was at the tail end of it. He was helped with the good time stuff too, but he really was working with CBI at the end. And so I got to Googling and messing around. Well, I find a guy, Dick Nesbitt in Arlington, Texas, on White Pages. I get to messing around, and he's got a listed landline phone number. And so one rainy day, I was up on our farm in Illinois. I didn't have much to do, and I started calling him and ended up talking to him. We talked for an hour. So I told him, I said, someday I'm going to come out and see you, and I want to talk with you and sit with you and spend some time with you. So literally this March, we were in Houston, Texas at our daughter's, and my brother has a CBI Terra, and that he didn't mention, and I took my 2 CBI glove boxes, and he sent me his, and I went and spent the day with Dick Nesbitt, my wife and I did with his wife, and I had him sign the glove boxes. So on the glove box on my Sports Star here at the show, several guys looked down and said, whose signature is that on your glove box? I said, the man that designed it, drew it, brought it to life, and named it. I said, Richard Nesbitt. So that's kind of a cool deal. And then I got to working, and I'd seen a little bit of, I wanted to know about those plastic hinges that hold the louvered panels on the sides of the Sports Star. I don't know if the Trail Star had them or not, but also I think the Midnight Star and some of the ones that they were doing the Star Series, and I had the panels, but I didn't have any of the hinges to hold it on with. So I ended up, I had gotten a computer and looked around and got to checking on stuff, and I found the son of the gentleman who had created all that for CBI in Arlington, Texas. He is a professor of ancient history in a university, and he said, I sent him a picture of one that I had that a gentleman sent me, thanks to Jason Rodell, and he said, I remember exactly. He said, when I was 16 years old, I was spot welding those in my dad's shop and putting the components together. He said, let me go to my dad's place and look. His father's still alive, but has Alzheimer's. And he ended up sending me several of those. So that was kind of a cool deal. So when I come here next year with my Sports Star, I will have the louvers on the side of it. It will be kind of, and it'll have some other stuff done that I've been told that to make it more period correct and make it more original, I can do to it. So I'm looking forward to coming back next year. I think you are too.
That's kind of the story. Yeah, we both look forward to this every year, and that's kind of the recap of the Holmes brothers.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now let's. All right, I hope you like that one. Next is one of the legends in the Scouts, Jeff Ismall, owner of HI Parts America, and one of the friendliest guys you'll ever want to meet, down to earth. We had a really good interview. We even had a good talk off camera, but enjoy his. All right, let's go ahead and talk about how you got into Scouts.
Well, I grew up internationals. My dad had a couple IH trucks that my older brother still have to this day. He had one for gardening and landscape business, and the other one was his hunting rig. And so growing up internationals, naturally, you know, we wanted an IH. And so I got a Scout when I was 16, and I don't think it was a year later, you know, you start bumping into other IH owners out there, and a local guy that owned a yellow Scout, I think his name was Bill Hirschler, and he needed a clutch job. He needed a clutch, and I said, I can do that for you. So that was, I think, my officially first paid job, and that would have been 91, I'd say. So did a clutch job, and that's kind of like where it started. I started doing it a little bit on the side after that, and then by 96, I officially started business the first time. Had a bad car accident that first year, and it set me behind. So by 99, I threw in the towel, and got out of it. Was still doing mechanical work until 2004. I got back into it again, and here we are, 20-some years later.
Okay. Now, I know you've been into a couple of these build-offs. Let's go over what you've got this time for competition.
Okay. So on this build here that we brought in is a 1965 Scout 800. It's one of the very first 800s made, and it's actually registered title as a 65. Really, we didn't build it for the build-off. Just standard customer build. LS engine in it, LS3. Got a 6L80 transmission, Atlas transfer case, Dana 30 axle in the front, and a 4.9-inch in the back. What's custom a lot about this Scout is a lot of interior bodywork was done. The whole inside fenders were all cut out so that we could put a 3-row wide seat in. The customer has 3 children and wants to make sure he can get the whole family to fit in there on the trips. So that was a big thing, and then the roll cage that's in it is all incorporated, welded directly into the body. A lot of custom sheet metal work on this thing. The inner fenders have been trimmed back to help fit that LS motor in there. Just make it a modern daily driver. Like I said, it wasn't built for show. It was just built for someone to enjoy. But the build-off was there, and we needed to get something in there. We figured we'd bring this one out.
Okay, last question, because everybody loves the off-road truck. Tell me about it.
Which one?
The big off-road truck. Your
Hideous?
pickup, Hideous.
All right, so yeah, my truck Hideous, as I call it, it's a 1952 L110, and I call it a Trout because it's half truck and it's half Scout sitting on a Scout Traveler Terra chassis. 392 IH motor, NV 4500 5-speed, Atlas transfer case. I've got Ultimate Dana 60s in it with 538 gears and ARB air lockers, onboard air, and it's got air conditioning as well. Heated seats, full custom cage. I've had that thing, man, from all over the country. Obviously, being from California, I've wheeled the Rubicon and I've wheeled the Fordyce in it quite a few times, gone down to the Hammers. I've had it in Moab. Also, with Ultimate Adventure, I've had it in Texas, and Oklahoma, and Georgia, and Alabama, and Tennessee, and West Virginia, and Pennsylvania, and Kentucky. So I've had that thing and wheeled it in so many different terrains. It's just so much fun to do, and very blessed to be able to do those kind of trips and just have a great time with that old truck.
Okay, last question. I'm from Tennessee. I'm raised up in Fentress County, which is near the Brushy Mountain Prison. What did you think of that place?
The place was spooky. Just seeing the conditions in there and knowing people had to live in there and some of the tight conditions and stuff that was there, like I said, just old, and knowing that prison was, it wasn't shut down that long ago, if I remember right. So, I don't know. Like I said, I think one of the coolest things, though, was talking to a convict who they kept around for tour guides and stuff. So, got to start, I poked a question at him, and he opened up and explained that his daddy was the sheriff, I believe, I want to say, and, that the time he ever seen his dad cry is the day before he had to drive him personally to prison. You know, and I think what it was is he tried to blow up the post office or something out there, if I remember the story. I just know a bomb was involved, and anyways, it was a very interesting story hearing it from him. You know, really, topped off seeing that place and hearing it from an actual, convict there. So yeah, very, very interesting place.
Okay. All right, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that one. Now, somebody said I ought to interview myself. The hat is sort of hard, but tell you what we'll do. We'll try. Of course, this is a 1980 International Scout Traveler. Very, very rare. It's the only year they come out with the square headlights. It's the only year they come out with the Nissan 33 SD Turbo. Now, people says that they put diesels in them, for years, but this is the only year that they put in a turbo. So that right there is very rare, because starting in '79 they had a strike, starting the 80 model, 1980 model, and it lasted for 3 or 4 months in 1980, and then it seems like, of course, they threw a lot of diesels in the Traveler, but this is a turbo. Now, somebody once said that, oh no, they had turbos in the '79. No, they didn't. Starting in '79, starting that 1980 production, they did. But anyway, this is a very, very, very rare vehicle. Scouts are rare, period, but I gotta get rid of that hair. This was especially in 1980, the only year they made square headlights. Now, the Scouts was only built from 1976 through 80. And of course, everybody knows that in 1980, they quit making Scouts. So, and I know I use my hands a lot. I remember my disco days, but anyway. This is how I love my Scouts. When I was a kid, my dad worked for O.G. Taylor over in Crossville, Tennessee. He was his parts manager at the Platt Truck and Equipment Company. This is before he got into law enforcement. And me and my brother used to go over with him all the time. I don't know if my sister did or not, but me and my brother did. And then sometimes it was just me. And the guy that worked with my dad, Raymond Stone, we would haul off trash in one of the, I don't know if it was an 80 or 800 half cabs. So we'd haul off the trash, and he would always stop and get me a chocolate milkshake. And of course, the one thing I loved about the old Scouts was the independent vacuumed windshield wipers, because I loved playing with those things. You turn one on, turn the other one, they wasn't in sync. For a kid, it was amusing. So that was my love of them. Then I got into, I was looking for one, couldn't find one. I found a Jeep CJ5, a 1974, so I got it. And then a couple of years later, somebody wanted to sell me their Wagoneer, a 79 Wagoneer. So, wow, heck yeah. CJ had a 304 in it, the Wagoneer had a 360. So I started doing it up, and then the guy that originally owned this, and you'll have to go back and look at my videos on the before and after of these. If not, I'll try to tag it. If not, I'll try to tag it at the end. What it looked like, it looked more like the Flintstone car, because Scouts was known to rust. Let's put it this way. And you can see, when you're going driving down the road, you can see pavement. And so I traded him, and it sat for years and years. And finally, I guess, I usually say 10 years ago, but it's probably around 13 years ago, I started buying up parts. And of course, the first thing you want to do is your drivetrain. You want to make sure your engine's good. You want to make sure that your brakes are in excellent condition. So we worked on that, and then a buddy of mine went to Super Scout Specialist up in Ohio, and we visited the Rob and Bob show. That's what I always tell everybody. If you want anything, call the Rob and Bob show. And before I went up there, I called Rob and said, okay, this is what I need. And I give him a big list. I said, now I'm only going to be up there that day, so let's try to make sure we have everything so I can come up at one shot and get it. So we did, and then we started putting it all together. But then for paint, I needed a vacuum pump, power steering pump. Well, I called Rob. Rob didn't have one, but he was going to drop ship me one from somewhere else. Cool. So I got it. But somewhere between there and here, it got mashed. I mean, you couldn't use it. Called Rob. Rob didn't have another one. So on the good old internet with the Scout group, which is awesome. The group is just, Scout people are awesome. I put out a SOS. Hey, have you got this? And it was just like, boom. Jeff Ismall sent me a message, said, hey, I think I got what you need, call me. So I did. We got it, shipped it, he shipped it, got it, put it on. Then we started finishing up all the body work, the paint, and of course everybody knows my Batman logo, because I was a child of the 60s, grew up with Adam West as Batman. Everything I wanted was Batman. So I had to put that on there. So the Scout's name is Angel, but everybody's calling it the Batman Scout. I've had people come up and say, oh, you own the Batman Scout. So it was fun up there. It really was. Still got some stuff to do. I've got a 62 half cab that right now its name is OG. I'm redoing it. I think if you go back, you'll see some of the videos that I've done on it. Also with this right here, if you noticed, I've basically done a lot to it. Even the seats has a Amish guy between Centertown and Morrison here in Tennessee. Redo the seats, or do the seats and put the IH in the logo in it. I love my diesel. It's awesome. I drive it. It's something special. But that's basically it for this. If you got any more questions, just ask. So here we go. Now, I know a lot of you watch but don't subscribe, so please subscribe. Hit the like, ring the bell, and do a little dance. And for Scout about his Scout, last time I checked, I'm Jeff. Thanks for watching.
Traveler and Terror, show stock. First place goes to Jeff Brown with 1980 Traveler.
I guess that's me. Here, film this.
Show stock SS2. First place